We can continue. Sorry for that again. So we have thousands of community members, and currently the software is in version 8. When we think about the company, we think about the company that hires over 300 employees whose mission is to unlock commerce for merchants all over the globe. And their mission is also to keep PrestaShop as the #1 solution, open source e-commerce platform in Europe and LATAM. And finally, when we think about the project, we think about our amazing community. We have over 1,000 contributors who are collaborating with us on the PrestaShop code, design, translations, and so on, because finally, the contribution to the open source project is not only about the code, but let's be honest, code is a significant part of contributing process. This is why we are happy with over 800 contributions merged to the PrestaShop core and modules in 2022. We are proud members of OW2 and one of the founding members of PHP Foundation, which is a super big deal for us. And it's worth mentioning that company actively contributes to the project. Company hires some people who are dedicated only to work on the open source project, and they bring us around 65% of contributions to the PrestaShop's code. But we are here today at OW2, so let's discuss community and open source project. Let's take a look at this chart. It shows how many pull requests we merge every year in the project. Pull requests are basically contributions from community who are giving us some pieces of code that we later validate, review, and test to see if they can end up in the core of PrestaShop or in the modules of PrestaShop. This is one of the KPIs that we measure to see how our project what is the health of our project. And you can see a steady growth for the past few years. You can also see that we are on the good track to have a record of contributions merged in 2023. And you can also notice that in 2020 and 2021, there's a huge growth in number of contributions. So you may wonder what happened in 2020. We all know that a lot happened, but what happened in the project that its dynamics changed drastically? Well, basically, the project members started a few important initiatives inside the project. First of all, it started to differentiate from the company. The mission was to treat a PrestaShop company and PrestaShop project as separate entities. This is why we've created a project website. This is why on GitHub we host the clear version of PrestaShop. There's no company services or products integrated to the software. And finally, we had to also create some projects APIs, like a new way of distributing modules or new tooling, and there was a lot of processes documentation as well to be created. But it was clear to us that having an open source project is not really equal automatically to having an open project. And what I mean by that is that the project maintainer role was exclusively available for people from inside the PrestaShop company. And in 2019, there was this idea to open the maintainer role for people outside of the PrestaShop. Basically, somebody decided that, hey, to grow, to work better with community and to increase the project success, we need to open the project. And yeah, it took over the year for the project to prepare, and in 2020 the project finally became open for external contributors. And this is me in 2020. This is my application for getting my role as a community maintainer. I was thinking that, hey, maybe it will be good to contribute even more. Maybe it would be good to help the project in some different way. Because in 2020, I was just a regular contributor for the PrestaShop project. I was a contributor with over 10 years of experience in working with PrestaShop. And eventually, I became the first accepted community maintainer for the project. After me, there was a few more maintainers accepted as well. Later on, I joined the company, which is a completely different story. But let me tell you that even though PrestaShop project is quite transparent from the outside, it looks much bigger from the inside. It's quite a shocking experience to be on the other side of the project after being a contributor. But After creating a maintainer role for community, it was the time to create also new roles. For example, we created a role of committer, which is similar to maintainers. They also help us with gardening, with code reviews, with test of pull requests, and interacting with community. Basically, this role is open for every single community member who is active in the project. There's a voting phase where we vote whether the person should be approved as a committer or not. And what is interesting is that even though company hires some people to work exclusively on the open source project, they don't get the rights to write to the project, to the GitHub repository, GitHub project, and so on and so forth. Before they prove themselves. They don't become committers automatically, so we are on the same rules with the community members and employees of PrestaShop. Later on, to welcome more people on board, to welcome more community maintainers and committers, and to work better with community, we had to improve onboarding. This is why we have a lot of processes being documented on the project's website. We also wanted to interact more with community and better. This is why we created this Slack channel where we have today, I think we have 2,600 people actively discussing about the project and about the PrestaShop. We also opened GitHub discussions to interact with the community in the text form, but in a little different way than on Slack. For example, if there is somebody who has some good idea on how to improve PrestaShop, they can create a discussion on GitHub discussions, so we can later on see whether the idea is good, how we could implement this feature request to the software, and coordinate the work behind those feature requests with the community. There's also a great voting mechanism on GitHub that lets you vote for most interesting ideas. So it allows product team from PrestaShop project to go through those top ideas and see what are the most anticipated things that people would like to see in the software. And from more regular stuff, we do have the projects blog. We do have some serious articles, like, for example, Core Monthly, where we basically summarize what happens in the project, what happened in the previous month, and so on and so forth. You have a list of contributions from community, acknowledgements, and so on and so forth. We also took a lot of time to improve the developer documentation, because it's clear to us that if we have newcomers in our ecosystem, and we have a lot, it's absolutely critical to have good documentation for them to stay with our software as long as possible, and to help also them contribute to the software. We do have a dedicated section that explains in every single detail how to contribute best to PrestaShop project. We also, as part of having this interaction with community, host monthly live updates. This is basically a webinar that we host every month on YouTube, where we share some news from the project, and where we share some announcements with the community, as well as we show some demos of new features that are coming to PrestaShop. We also have some live Q&A session at the end. The other format where we meet with the community are office hours. So basically, almost every Tuesday, we meet with the community to discuss ongoing projects with both the community and the project members. So if there's any contribution that got stuck in one way or another, we can meet on Tuesday and basically discuss with other members of the community how to unblock the contribution. And basically, everything what we did helped, because we see a lot of growth in the project and contributions. But we know that more contributions we have, the more challenges there are and more things to do. And we want badly to let those invaluable insights from the community, their insights and ideas from the community become their next project. And one of the things that community reported to us, that there's a slow decision making in the project. Basically, what I mean by that is that sometimes their contributions got stuck in one place or another. For example, they wait for validation from the product team or technical validation, or there's a problem with testing phase. So we come up with this idea of new organization for the project that consists of councils. Councils are meant to be lightweight groups where we have people who are experienced in one domain, for example, technical council or product council. And basically, their mission is to facilitate decision making. If you want to be part of the council, you have to be invited, but councils are fully open to the community. We do have a few members of the community in councils, and they are helping us a lot. Each council has also a lead who has the right to override some of the decisions. And there's also this leadership council who is basically in charge of everything. People there shapes the direction of the project and general rules that the project has. And we base on trust, we base on the fact that we are all here to help the project and we are all working in a good faith. So we use lazy consensus to accelerate the decision making. We agree by default, and if you don't agree with something, you need to speak up. And it's helping already. We see that it is helping already. We are going for the record number of contributions in 2023. The project dynamics are better than ever before. And it's clear to us that by empowering and trusting the community more, we can make our project, our open source project, even better. We can make the project great. It's eventually the community who really use the product. Their ideas and their motivation to contribute is something that we should care mostly about, and we need to provide them with all tools necessary, with all means necessary to let them help us, to help them help us. It's eventually a win-win for everyone, for community and for the company and for the project in general, to empower community, to give them all the tools necessary and to care more about the community. And that would be it. Thank you for getting to my talk and for your time.